So Tom, you and I always, we talk a lot about the similarities between the spirits world and the cigar world. And one of the obvious similarities is using what the land gives us, right?
That's right.
It's a little bit more specific in cigars in that tobaccos from very distinct regions in different countries just sort of provide a different experience and expression. But kind of talk about how that comes into play in the spirits world.
When you look at, the romance of creating whiskey, it comes from the land. This is a pure product. It's the grain, it's the barrel, it's what type of barrel are you using and how long it goes in there, and it has to sit there and age for usually at least a couple of years. I mean, there's some wonderful bourbons and ryes I've had that are 2 and 3 years old, but usually we're looking at 4 or 5 years plus. 7-year-old's fairly old bourbon. I mean, it used to be, we would see bourbons that were 7 and 10 years old and not think as much of them because there was a decline in bourbon. So we had a lot of bourbon 15, 20 years ago. It was easy to find a 20-year-old bottle for not that much money. Now a 20-year-old bottle is going to be anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars.
Wow.
So last 10 years, it's grown. So where we used to see more old bourbons, we're seeing some still, but it's harder to find because when you have a bourbon, just know that when it went into the barrel, it lost a lot of its volume. If you have a 10-year-old barrel of bourbon, it may have lost 30 to 40% of that actual volume that went in there. So it's something that becomes more rare to find.
That's one of the distinct similarities I see in bourbon and cigars, and in particular with the brand that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of with Cohiba.
Yes.
People ask me a lot of times, like, what goes into the price of a cigar? And I talk about time and material.
Right.
It's the material, it's the tobacco, and then it's the time that you're able to put that away and let it age and let it just mature, just develop. It took generations, decades to really get to the point where we have this variety of leaf from all these different regions of the world that all emanated from a pretty small cluster of seeds.
Of those seeds that took several years to get those.
Yes,
How many years would it take to get those fields going into something
it
that would
depends.
be?
I mean, if you're talking about wrapper grade tobacco, then you're talking about 4 or 5 years of turning the soil and growing. You'll get some usable tobacco first harvest, but it's not going to be wrapper grade.
It's going to take some time
it takes time.
really
It takes,
several
and then
years.
after that, the tobacco, it's going to sit away. I mean, depending on what part of the cigar component it's going to be.
Right.
I mean, you're talking 2 to 3 to 5 years of age for the leaf. So it's amazing how similar they are.
So when you have a bourbon, even if it's a younger one, and you have a cigar and you're pairing them, or any type of whiskey or aged spirit, when you think of all of the years and all the hands that went on this, it could be decades in front of you. It could be hundreds of hands. What I love about cigars, whiskey, brown spirits is that these stay in a bottle. They could stay in a bottle for years. You could have this in your humidor for years. You could pull this out. This is something that's, for me, on my palate, it's like knowing that I'm reaching back into time, and it's in some way it's stood still, and here it is for me to
and
try.
I never thought about it in that way. You get the best out of it by letting it sit, letting it age, letting it develop. Yeah. It's all about time and material.
And then it's there ready for us when we're ready for it.
Yes.